You know the feeling when you keep applying to jobs on LinkedIn but no one replies you back. You see some auto rejection mails, no recruiter getting in touch, and a growing feeling that something is broken. Well, the thing is, problem usually isn't your resume. It's the channel you're using. Referrals are one of the fastest way to land an interview at a top tech company, and most people are doing them completely wrong. I'm Vinay Bansal and I've spent over 8 years as engineering manager at top tech companies including Google. I know this system inside out, and today I'll show you exactly how to get referred at a FAANG company. Look, before I show you the playbook, you need to understand how referrals actually work on the inside. Every referral has a referral's name attached to it. So when I refer someone, the recruiter and the hiring manager know I vouch for that person. And if they flame out, that's on me. That's why you see people who refer you are way more careful than candidates assume. A weak referral from someone who barely knows you can actually hurt you more than no referral at all. So when someone ignores your cold "can you refer me" message, it's not because they're lazy or don't care. They just can't put their name on someone they don't know. Now, let me show you the system that actually works. Before you reach out to anyone, do the prep work. Because if your profile looks generic, even a willing referrer will hesitate, and that hesitation kills most referrals. There are 3 things that you need to nail. First, your resume needs to be tightened on the specific role that you're going after, not a one-size-fits-all PDF. Backend roles need one framing. Data science need another. Second, your online presence needs to actually exist. Your LinkedIn profile should be fully built out, and if you are an engineer, your GitHub should show that you actually write code. When someone Googles you, something credible should come up. Third, you need a real target company and roles list. Not anything at FAANG, but something specific, like backend roles on payment or infra at Google, Meta, and Stripe. Because when you ask someone for help, they need to know what to actually help you with. Make sure you can find that role opening on LinkedIn that you want. Okay, so once your prep is in place, the next question is who to actually reach out first. And see, your default move, that's opening LinkedIn, finding a stranger at Google, and firing off a cold DM, is the lowest conversion move in the playbook. It's certainly not going to work. You have to work your network in tiers. Warmest first. Tier 1 is the people you have worked with directly, like old teammates, an old manager. They've actually seen your work, and this is your highest conversion tier by a huge margin. Tier 2 is your wider personal network, like people from your school, your courses, and previous companies where you didn't directly overlap. The trust is not as deep as Tier 1, but there's already a connection point. Tier 3 is second-degree connections, where a mutual friend can make a warm intro to someone at your target company. Even if you've never spoken to that person, a warm intro is way more effective than a cold message. Tier 4 is cold outreach to strangers, and that's a last resort, not a starting point. I'll get into details to how to do that correctly in a second. Let me tell you one thing that can actually change your life. Your instinct would be to aim for the most senior person you can find, like a director or a VP. But trust me, these people get bombarded with referral asks every single week. Your peer level engineers 2 or 3 years into the company refer way more readily, and the referral has just as much weight in the internal system. So aim for warm and willing, not senior and unreachable. Okay, so let's say you found someone you actually know in tier 1, 2 or 3. Now comes the actual ask, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. Rule 1. Don't open with the ask. If you haven't talked to this person in 2 years and your first message is, "Hey, can you refer me at Google?" You just told them they only matter to you when you need something. Even if they don't say no out loud, that's a fast no in their head. Also, don't waste their time in empty pleasantries either. Don't send, "Hey, how you're doing?" and then disappear waiting for them to reply. You're just making them do 2 rounds of messages to figure out what you actually want. What works is opening with a real reconnection. Reference something specific, like a project you worked on together, something they recently posted, or a mutual contact. Anything that shows you actually remember who they are. 1 or 2 messages of genuine catch up, and then you move to the ask. Now, here's the most important part of this video. Don't give the referrer homework. Don't ask them what roles are open, which themes you should look at, or whether they can review your resume first. I've seen this pattern dozens of times. The candidate basically asks the referrer to run the job search for them. And even if the referrer wants to help, they just don't have the time. So the message sits unanswered for a week, then 2 weeks, and eventually it's forgotten. You do the work. They click submit, and that's the deal. When you ask, it should be clean and complete so they can act in under 2 minutes. That means the specific role link, your updated resume, 2 or 3 lines on why you're a fit, and a low pressure out, like totally understand if this isn't a good fit. That last bit signals you respect their time and their judgment. Okay, but what if you don't have any tier connection at your dream company? This is a different game. Your goal here isn't how to ask, it's how to become someone worth asking in the first place. The shift here is simple. Don't ask a stranger for a referral, build a connection first, and then it's not a stranger anymore. Here's how that looks. Pick a handful of people at your target companies and start engaging with their LinkedIn posts in real way. Leave substantive comments that actually add to the conversation, not great posts with a fire emoji. Do this consistently for a few weeks and they'll start to recognize your name. Then send them a DM. But the first message, it's not going to be a referral request. It's a genuine question about their work or something they recently posted. Now once they reply, share what you're working on, ask for their actual take, and let an actual conversation happen. Maybe over back and forth over a week or 2. After a few real exchanges, you're not a stranger asking for a favor anymore. You're someone they've actually had a conversation with, and at that point, the playbook from the previous section applies. See, I'll be honest, this is a longer game and most of these connections won't even turn into referrals. But every relationship compounds. The person who doesn't refer you this month might refer you next year or introduce you to someone who does. Now, if you want help running this system or figuring out the gaps in your network, this is what BeTopTen mentorship is built for. You can book a one-on-one session with experienced industry leaders at BeTopTen.com. And here's something worth knowing. A good mentor doesn't just give advice. They might even directly connect you to people at the companies you are targeting. So choose a mentor strategically. Look at their LinkedIn, where they worked, and whether they have the real reach at the target companies that you're looking for. Their network is part of what you are getting. Here's something I want you to walk away with. Referrals aren't favors you beg for. They are the byproducts of being known, being respected, and being easy to vouch for. Start building those relationships now, before you actually need them, and the next move becomes a lot easier. Hope this video helped you. See you in the next one. Thank you very much.